pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. All right, let's remember Tom Olivia, who passed away yesterday, and let's remember, as we always do, our men and women in the armed forces, especially this week being Thanksgiving. So many won't be home, and so let's just try to remember them a little extra more. So first on the agenda is to approve minutes. You have those, Gina?
Yes. You all received a copy.
Yes, I did a few days ago. Did you probably had them in your box. So could we have a motion to approve the minutes at our regular meeting on November the 5th, 2018?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion by trustee Howard. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Murphy. All in favor? I abstain. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Yep. All right, so let's review. This is what we'll do every month, have a workshop, the second meeting of the month. When items, because of an emergency or, because of the timing calendar, may be on the agenda, but mostly it'll be a workshop similar to the one that we have tonight. Okay. So there's quite a few, but we can go through them. There's just a little information on each one. You have a question, we'll stop and answer it the best I can, or whatever we need to do, and then we'll close that one down and move on to the next project, okay? So first I have the FEMA dollars that we have for Highland Brook Wall. So the engineer's been on this. Nothing's gone out to bid. Again, it's for Highland Brook Wall behind the town hall. There's one very, very bad area that has caved in or down to the brook from the sidewalk on West Point Highway. And right now it looks like we have around $22,000 to work with. And so over the winter, meeting with the engineer, this will be taken care of as far as going out to specs. A lot of these folders here require going out to bid, and over the winter I want to hopefully do that so I can lessen this and we can be ready to go on all these different projects we have come spring. That's my hope.
I'm glad we're discussing this because a couple of weeks ago, that heavy rain we had,
Sure.
that brook was really roaring.
Yeah. Some money's been spent on engineering, but as I said, there's around 22, could be around 22.8, but I don't want to be held to figures tonight unless I say this is an exact figure, but it's around 22. Hopefully we can go out and get specs and sealed bids in the area for which we have money. So that's Highland Brook Wall as far as the FEMA project. That goes back quite a while from another storm that we had. Havens Road, another FEMA project, just to bring you up to date. There were two areas of concern down there that FEMA gave us money for. One was the storm drain, and one was the parking lot. Both are done. The storm drain had been done for about a year, and the parking lot, with the help of, you would put it under the category of shared services. We worked with the town personnel and together with the village crew. That area of the parking lot was fixed and now usable, paid for by FEMA. Just to mention the storm drain, that job, I think it was done around September, October. At least this will ring a bell because we had to send the contractor a letter saying it was undermined, and we had a year to do that. And we were under the year. We did send them a letter. When I come, it was either you sent the letter or the engineer. It's not ringing a bell, I can tell. Okay, then it was the engineer, and I have it, but it has not, and it was sent to Frank Fay, who was the contractor on the job, and it has not been responded to.
Okay, I did not send that letter.
Yeah,
so
I have it.
Pat must.
Yeah. So, we're waiting to hear from that because something has to be done there to rectify the job that was given out to this particular contractor. Okay. Everyone understand that? Okay.
So the storm drain had been fixed and then it was undermined by the
Yes.
storm?
Yes. The highway super, John Jones brought it to my attention. And it's very obvious, you can see, and we had the engineer down there, and he saw exactly right away what the problem was, and a letter again was sent to the contractor. All right, we have $80,000 grant for a stretch of sidewalk over by Lady Cliff Park, and then we have to continue going down West Point Highway, which is very, very bad. Most people walk in the road there. That's how bad the sidewalks are.
And the road.
And the road, yeah.
Speaking of that, I called James Scoofus and Lori Tortell, and they have connected with the DOT over that road, like you asked.
Good. It's leading into the premier military academy in the world. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. So, I have here from our engineer, a quote of $9,675 to do a survey. The survey has to be done of the property that we have received the money for.
This is a survey before,
No, I'm going to take that back. This was in the wrong folder. I see it here now. This is for the, this is for the wall, the FEMA wall, the first item I brought up.
The 9,000?
Yeah, yes.
What was that number, 9,065?
$9,675.
Oh, 600.
I know why this is actually, what I highlighted puts it in the right folder. There's also the Community Development Office for fiscal year 2018. They haven't released the money yet for the sidewalks that I just mentioned, which were Lady Cliff, one section of Lady Cliff, sidewalks and West Point Highway. But we were awarded this money, and so it will be coming. We couldn't do the job now anyway, but come spring, hopefully over the winter, we get paperwork that the money's on its way or it's sitting out there waiting for us to spend. We just have to send out vouchers. We'll go out to bid on those sidewalks.
So before you close, that survey, is that coming out of the
Yes.
22,000?
Well, I actually have a question here, Jim. Is it covered? I hope it can. Of course, that'll lessen the sidewalk. You know, so.
No, you're
well,
talking about the wall. He's talking
The
about the wall.
22,000 for the wall.
For the wall.
Does that come out of the, I don't know. We have to find out if that's coming out of the
The
FEMA money or not.
965.
Right,
Correct?
right, because it was.
You're saying it's the 96675 going to come out of 22,000?
Right.
Correct. We hope, if it's covered, if
If
FEMA
not, then we
allows us.
if not, then we have to find money for that survey. Okay.
Okay, the one government study, round out, the contractor, myself, clerk, Elise, this is gonna be a problem. I've talked about it in this room many times. I've talked about it 10 times more downstairs. You just can't get this guy. But at this point, I'm gonna continue to try. We still have to sign the agreement.
I would suggest some minor modifications to the agreement. Certainly,
Right.
the schedule is already off. I would advise some change to the language for mandatory rather than permissive language, shall instead of may. I would like a Word document, but I think Regina asked for one and didn't get it. I can mark it up, but that's going to look pretty sloppy. I can probably just retype it and make the changes.
Well, I say let's, I don't know why I'm giving him the latitude here. Let's continue to try to reach him, tell him what we need between now and Christmas.
Okay,
And then come the first of the year, the board is going to have to make a decision.
all right.
He's never given us the police department report. He just wanted to move on. We had a meeting with him downstairs and there's some folks that were in the room and well, let's just move on from that now. Well, no, let's just don't move on from that now.
Do we have a list of what he has to still present? Like, we know the police department. Is there other
I think
areas of that?
No, I think it's that. I think that's what he worked on.
It's primarily the police department.
Right.
He had done inventory of other things as well to create sort of the baseline.
Right.
But the police definitely was the lion's share of the project, and the police department has changed. So the data that was originally presented is now.
Absolutely, yeah.
But we gave him a whole new, Ken, what do we want to call it? Revised package about the police department. And he has that. And that's what he said, let's just set that over there and move on.
Well, that's hard to do if you
Yeah.
had it changing.
He's missing in action for a few months.
Yeah, so,
Well, he's taken another job, that's.
well, we know that. But one time out of probably literally 50 times, he did say, I'm still doing it for you. I cut my staff down. I don't think he cut his staff down. I think he cut the company down. I don't think there is any more company, but that's me. I don't really care if there's a company or not. I need somebody that I can get a hold of. I pick up the phone, I want you to answer the phone or get back to me. And weeks go by, many phone calls go by, many messages are left, and he still doesn't do it. So, okay.
We're having some issues with the TV, so you know. It's going in and out, it's back on now.
The picture or the,
Both.
okay, so are you picking me up right now? It's important that I know this when it happens, because I want to apologize instead of doing it at the next meeting. So if this is on now, and people are watching it at home, we're having issues with the picture going in and out, and we're having picture with the noise, background noise. Not background noise here, but within the machinery of the camera. So, listen, I apologize. We're trying to straighten it out. Okay? Okay, the next, this will be on the next agenda, as we said at the last meeting, which is to amend the zoning law to reduce the minimum requirement of square footage for a dwelling unit. It was adjourned, it was kept open, the public hearing was kept open by adjourning it until December 2. Anything you want to add?
I have not heard a report back from the planning board yet.
It was the night of the storm that they had their meeting.
We have the county planning,
May I see that?
yeah. And
Local determination.
December 3, Jim.
December 3? December 3 is
Our meeting.
our meeting, and we'll keep the public hearing open on this.
In the planning board's meeting, that they were going to discuss and come up with any other questions or concerns about it. That was the night of the big storm.
Did they meet or not? Okay.
It took me over 11 hours to get home that night, so I don't know if they met.
All right, the next local law that was presented at the last meeting, again, we adjourned it and kept the public hearing open to December 3, was to amend the property maintenance, to modify property maintenance law to instruct the building department to issue mandatory appearance tickets for Justice Court. Would you like to add?
The only thing I want to add is, I don't know if you have had a chance to review that local law. We did hear back from the building department having concerns about 170-71, which essentially is, if you own property and there's a 5-foot drop next to your property, you have to fence your property. So the building inspector had some concerns about that for various reasons that I did discuss with Trustee Murphy. And his feeling is that that section is unnecessary, and that he has enough under the state code that if there's a dangerous situation, he can cite the property. But he's concerned that there's so many properties in the village like that. Some of them are public property, and he just feels that that would be unnecessary.
So there's a possibility we could take that out. We'll bring that up at the December 3rd meeting and maybe take that out if the board agrees.
What's your feeling on that? Should it be taken out?
I think it should be taken out based on what I hear from the building department. That still leaves the section that I think the board was most interested in, which was the mandatory penalties, the mandatory appearance tickets, which I think was the primary point of this.
With the whole thing, right?
I received a call today also, or was on the phone with someone who has periodically complained about snow removal and the maintenance aspect of that. If people don't shovel their sidewalks, and we feel that it is in the public benefit because of children walking to school, we have it shoveled. Should there be some kind of compensation or penalty related to that issue?
Of us doing the sidewalks leading to school?
Well, when we shovel a sidewalk for whatever reason.
Well, let's don't say whatever reason.
Well-
We only do it for that reason.
They thought that there were other sidewalks that were being done, but let's stick with just the school sidewalk. If it's in front of private property, should those individuals be held responsible for shoveling their sidewalks the way other residents are?
Well, you're asking it as if it's a question. It's not a question. The code says the code is that they do shovel.
And that was this person's.
Okay, but there's the reason that for, and I'm not exaggerating here, at least 40 years, going back to Benny Azed, the village has done the sidewalks on Mountain Avenue so the kids don't have to walk in the highway. So, this has come up here, this came up here a meeting or two ago.
Yeah, I've heard it before.
So, it's not a question, are they supposed to do it? Yes. That's the code.
You know, I just want to say something, and, you know, with Mountain Avenue and all of that. Now, I've been at my home on Mountain Avenue for 20 years, okay? Number one, traffic is definitely, there's a lot more traffic on Mountain Avenue. There's no two ways about it. And it's faster on Mountain Avenue.
Tractor trailers,
Everything is coming down.
coach.
Everything is coming down there. When you have a snowstorm again, and this is like echoing each board meeting, we talk about this. You could put salt, everything else you want. The state's gonna come by and they're gonna plow it right back up on top. That's what they do. As a matter of fact, this past storm that we had, I don't even think it was a storm, okay? They plowed blacktop all night long, okay? And you could just hear the trucks going by, and that's what they do. So if you shovel, that's what happens. With the kids, as the mayor's saying, I think it's more of a safety thing anymore, you know. I wouldn't want to see, I mean, for the kids to walk out in the middle of that road,
Oh, I think we can justify shoveling
Yeah.
the sidewalk for the safety of the kids.
and on top of that, I just want to add one other thing that I think is getting out of control in the village a little bit, is the pushing the plowing out onto the roads. It's getting a little too much now anymore. I mean, you know, I know they have nowhere to put it, but they push it out into the middle of the road.
The contractors?
Yes.
Yeah, the highway department has for
You know-
years that complaint.
You know, and that's, this past little storm that we had here, there was an awful lot of that.
Yeah. That's a
So-
constant winter complaint. And in the past, and and also now, the highway superintendent, in this case, John Jones, approaches those that seem to really put a lot of it back out into the road. They don't push it up into corners or
Right,
other
right.
areas off the road.
Right.
Yeah, that's an issue. That's an issue.
But for Mountain Avenue, that's a tough one, Charlie. I mean, it really is. I mean, I know people shovel out there, but I don't understand, you know, like, if there's school the next day, it makes it very difficult.
Doesn't the school have, you know, a little,
They do, but they do their own area.
We don't do the school sidewalk.
no, but I'm saying the school could take the responsibility on, and then it wouldn't be a village.
Okay, would you approach the school board on that?
Sure.
See if the middle school custodians
If
will do
they've
those
got
sidewalks, we'll do the Mountain
Yeah.
Avenue up to Eagle Valley, both sides.
Mountain to Eagle. It's like a little cat,
It's called the Bobcat.
bobcat, thank you, okay.
It's a little cat.
Chief Scott?
Trustee Murphy, I think you were also getting at, could the village then violate the people that don't shovel the snow?
Well, that was the call today, that
The problem with that is that you have to have your hearing. It's just,
and I did explain that,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I think it would be more just if the school would take that on if they've got a bobcat.
And we're talking about, it's a matter of public safety, especially for the children. I don't see why we're gonna, I mean, if they wanna do it, that's fine, but until they say that, we gotta keep clearing it.
I could just say good luck with that.
Yeah, I'm sitting there thinking, how to
Good luck with that.
Hey, I'm still hoping to get
Yeah,
Bog
well,
Meadow off the tax rolls.
The last storm we had, the guys did a great job. They cleaned it up, and cars were coming back early. And then the snow came back down, and cars were on the road. Is there any way that we can say to people, don't put your cars back on the road from the parking lot down here on your street until you get a signal saying all is clear? Because the two cars on Church were blocking the plow from coming up.
And then we had a problem where the tow trucks couldn't come out.
Right, no, I understand that,
Stuff
but
there, but no, we,
they asked me to ask you that question, is it possible?
put it the other now, but not everybody has it, and we encourage people to
Okay.
sign up for it.
Okay,
And if it's not too late in the evening, like 2 o'clock in the morning, the guys will go and make announcements again, but we're not gonna wake up the whole village because a handful of cars are.
if it's still snowing and they take their car from downtown and put it in front of their house, and it's still snowing, that's against the code.
Right, and I'm just wondering if we can announce that the next storm, just say, listen, don't come up until you get,
Well, because I get the email alerts on my
yeah, I
phone.
do too.
So maybe we need to emphasize that, the residents need to sign up for that.
Yeah, that's what the chief said, yeah.
If they go back out, they're still in violation.
Right.
Sometimes people see that the roads are clear and it stops snowing and they feel that they can go park in it, but
Right,
in case.
okay.
Okay, next, I have the letter that was sent to us by
Thank
the
you.
Consolidated Planning Board, asking us to look at changing the rule that a building permit shall expire within 90 days and raise the time limit to 1 year. So that's something that'll come up at the board meeting, and what we would like to do about that, to change the code. I guess the town did do this. We probably should stay in step the best we can. Sometimes 90 days isn't enough time. And this would save the applicant dollars if he had a year.
I can draft a local law to make that change if the board wants me to do that and prepare for the next meeting.
I would like you to, but it's up to them.
I thought we had agreed on that, to stay in consistency with the town at the last meeting.
We're going to look and reach out to the town and see what they adopted, I guess, first, if we are going to be consistent. Personally, I think it should be a reapproval. And then a reapproval once a year, but they should ask for an extension every 6 months. That's my opinion.
Well, like we said at the last meeting, the town has already changed. So unless the village wants to be a bit out of step, which you can certainly do, you can say, okay, it's 6 months and you have to ask for an extension,
It's just an extension, so
as opposed to
Maybe we-
waiting for, what happens at the end of the year likely is that they get an extension if it's not complete.
they should have to get a reapproval, that's my point.
So how does the board want to address this? Do you
We
want
don't know what the town did, what theirs are? No?
Not exactly.
All right, so there's two issues. I'd like to see you present something to us before the next meeting, if possible, to be determined if it'll be put on the agenda, or we want to talk about it off the agenda for a moment, and keep it consistent with the request. That's not saying we can't change it, because we're going to talk. The other item I would like you to take care of through, I would assume Justin, is that they inform you or the village before these changes take place, in plenty of time. I'm assuming that this is probably at least a 2 to 3 month process that they went through. One could assume that, maybe longer. But I would like to know about these things before,
Do we do it at the same time?
maybe we would have a legitimate objection that they're not seeing. More people that look at something, the better. It could be something that we can't stay in uniform with, but it would be nice to know ahead of time.
Yes. Could I just see that, Mr. Mayor?
That's a good point.
Okay? Yeah. Okay, on this next item, it's pretty short here, but there was some work done by Gina, our village clerk, Mary, who resigned not long ago, an exceptional worker that was downstairs, and together they came up with policies and procedures for the Senior Citizen Center that we need to adopt in some form off of this. Does everyone have these two documents? One's policies and procedures, and one's a senior citizen rental. We'll make copies.
Yeah.
No, we'll make copies, and we'll put these two, there's gonna be two different items for the senior center.
Can I see
Make
those real quick?
changes,
Those are suggestions
Yeah.
from, we did a survey of some other senior centers, we got some information with this.
We took the fire department rental form that they use. We're nowhere near, so everyone knows in the public, we're nowhere near renting out the old KSC building, the Senior Citizen Center. We're not near that yet. We've been asked, and by being asked, it brought about homework that we need to do before it happens. Okay? And we'll make copies of these for everyone.
Yeah.
I would like you all to, by next meeting, look at the items that were presented to us at the last meeting about the food truck. If we're going to allow it, not. If we don't, if we are, we have to actually create another spot. There's only one spot in the code book that's designated for a vendor. It doesn't mean hot dog vendor, it means a vendor. Right now, the hot dog vendor was the high bidder on the spot. Do you want a copy of this?
I would like a copy of that. It does say exactly what they want.
So this should be discussed at the next meeting, this food truck. Please.
How long does the hot dog vendor have? Was it a year?
As a year.
What's in July to July?
Yeah, what month, July? So he'll have to renew, or if he wishes to, or it would be a rebid. As I said before about Havens Road, I'll try to remember to do this. This is the letter that went from the engineer to Mr. Fay about the job not being completed correctly. Okay. We're waiting to hear. This is dated 9 October. The sewer lateral at the water plant, we know about that, and there's specs here for that. We went out to bid, as you all will remember, and we rejected. We had one bidder, and we rejected the bid. So this will be a redo as far as going out to bid.
Right.
65 Schneider Avenue. I talked to our attorney a couple times in between each meeting about this, and we're waiting right now. The issue was at one time, not long ago, waiting on the sign-off of two easements, one from the property owner and one from the school district. We're waiting now on the one from the school district, unless you've heard something since we spoke.
All I've heard is that I did send a temporary access license to the school district's attorney. I did send her the plan last week. She has mentioned this to the superintendent, but she has not had an opportunity to discuss it with the board. That, we're just asking for a temporary access so that we can just do the work on the little bit of property that belongs to the school. I did send a revised easement agreement to the attorney for Mr. Sierra. I think I copied everyone on that, so we should.
It's here.
Yes. And I have not heard back from him yet. He's probably looking at the language.
So we have, I might be wrong on the title, but we have here Jim DeSalvo, who's the liaison from the school board to local government. Can I say that?
Yeah,
Would you help us out with the easement?
sure.
Okay.
Along with Bog Meadow and
And
Shoveling
plowing the-
sidewalks?
Yeah, plowing the sidewalks. Good luck.
Get your Bobcat.
We'll get us the easement. The other two are, one might say, are going to be tough.
and what was the shoveling from where? to
Mountain
where?
Avenue to Eagle Valley. Actually, it should go up to what I refer to as Julian's, because there's homes there with kids.
So the bottom of Storm King?
Bottom Stone,
That'll work.
Bottom Stone King Mountain?
Well, Julian's, that's closer.
How far up the road to go?
to the first house coming down, where Mr. Julian's live.
I think that's school water coming down too, so that wall down there.
Sure, no problem. No problem.
Thank you, Jim.
You got it.
All right, next we have a $190,000 grant, state grant that was put in for, and I'm very happy about it. We haven't talked a lot about this one, but it's money for street paving. It's money for streetscape. Beautification Committee will be very happy about that. It's money for Village Hall restoration, and it's money for a generator for the Department of Public Works. So as all state grants go, we're waiting for additional paperwork to come to sign off and whatever else is required from these grants. And then it's not a question, are we going to get it? We were awarded. So it's a matter of waiting on the state to tell us what they want us to provide.
Mr. Mayor, just going in a little bit of a different direction, because we're talking state and we're talking roads. Mountain Avenue, where they're putting in that gas, is that, what's going to happen with this? Is it,
Okay.
Are they going to grind that up and then repave it, or is it?
So I'll leave it at these words. There was an interesting conversation with the head supervisor of Central Hudson and myself. Obviously, I'm not happy with Mountain Avenue. It's quite a length. It's not just an area. It's quite a length.
It is.
You can't avoid it. It's disgraceful. And this has been my problem with Central Hudson for a couple of years now. And this is why I will not allow them any longer to put mains in on village streets. That's not a village street, that's why they were able to do it. Because of their restoration policy is not at any level near ours. And until it is, there'll be no more. But Mountain Avenue, being a state road, they were allowed to do the work. He told me, Central Hudson told me last week that was temporary and that it would come up and the final solution would be put down. What I'm worried about is winter. I start worrying about winter the end of August. And I'm not being funny, I'm being serious. That's how I have to think. And so, more to come on that, but that's the latest word I have.
See, I've noticed a lot of vehicles, what they do is they try to override.
Yeah.
They're riding over it, so they're going over the yellow line, so
Yes.
they don't hit that rut.
The rut is going down the middle of their car, underneath.
Exactly. Exactly.
Terrible. Terrible. So I am on it because it's just terrible. Okay? North End, $200,000 grant for the North End. Again, we went out to bid. You'll remember around 7 or 8 folks picked up bid packages, 3 submitted, and we rejected all 3 bids because they were too high. Our engineer had mentioned to us that work is plentiful now, and so contractors are coming in higher than maybe they would if they were looking for work. But at any rate, we did reject it, and come this winter, on a lot of these, if not all of them, we'll go out to bid again and see what kind of number we get in, so that we can start this project come spring. The $500,000 grant, Restore New York, is still out there for us to participate in. Gina and the village clerk and I called the state to make sure we're still within the time frame of receiving the money, and we are. And the issue was $50,000 to $60,000 in engineering fees that did not come out of the grant, and that we were going to have to come up with. And as I had mentioned to you, all of you, that through Mr. DeSalvo's help and suggestion, because I would not have thought of it, he said put in for a grant to the IDA. And I was interviewed a month ago. They required additional paperwork. Again, the village clerk helped me. We got the paperwork to them, and we should know soon if we're awarded and how much the award will be to go towards engineering. So that's very, very good.
No, that's good.
I think they're receptive from my interview, but we'll see. We'll see. So I thank you for that.
No problem.
That's a big thing for us.
It's going to be on our December meeting, and it looks pretty good. I don't know how much, but it looks promising.
No, we're still in agreement about when we do some restoration on houses, they also have to sign off.
We'll have some type of document that I know you worked on, you know. When the time comes, I think that we should talk about, I know there was a list of 6 or 7 brick buildings on Main Street, not knowing what's underneath, and when they start to sandblast and this and that and mortar, I think that we should do my suggestion will be, if it's allowed, we'll talk to the state again, Gina, but if it's allowed, that we do one building
At a time.
at a time.
Yep.
And we start with the biggest eyesore in town, which is at the bottom of Mountain Avenue. That pink, long, not the purple little house, that's another time, but the pink building across the street from the firehouse.
Which could be a foundation building for the village. It could be a sensational opportunity.
I'm also asking that when we do this restoration, if we find something that needs repair, that doesn't go to this restoration grant, that goes to the owner.
Well, I don't know the details, I don't know I hope yes, I agree with that.
Right.
I agree with that.
Okay.
Well, didn't we talk about that the owner may say, well,
Yeah. This is such a large grant, and I don't mean only, but I do mean $500,000, but I mean in requirements by us and by them.
Yeah.
That we really are going to have to get into the weeds, and we haven't done that yet, because we've been waiting for engineering fees. But we will. So these things are going to have to be brought up and see if we can make that happen, because I agree.
Yeah, we need to have some kind of a cap, because you can't just say we're repointing.
I know, because you don't know.
So-
He brought it up, actually. What we're gonna
So
run into.
everybody knows, there's guesstimations, and those guesstimations for, and I believe it was 9 buildings, went over the $500,000. And they gave a guesstimation, which I would be comfortable with, this one, with the removal of the paint. You can be comfortable with that. I mean, they know what that is. But underneath of the paint is where the gremlins are gonna come out. And if you, to give me a guesstimation on the repairs of the masonry, we have no idea.
We could end up doing one building.
Correct. So those guesstimations that they have, which came over the $500,000 mark, was for the paint removal and the masonry repair. We don't know one of those pieces of the puzzle. I don't think that's accurate. I mean, it could be less, but it could be substantially more. So I believe the mayor's treading in this lightly.
Oh, God, yeah.
As to, how we should go about it, whether it's going to be one building at a time. We need to have our ducks in a row, especially once they start work on Main Street. Sidewalk safety. There's a lot of things, and I don't know if they're in that bid package that was put out for these guesstimations. So we need to look at that. And I know I had asked when they first came about, was I believe the homeowners should, or the building owners should do a air quality inside the building before, during, and after. Because what happens if it's lead paint removal, and I believe the process that they're going to use isn't going to create more lead inside, but what if it does? So those are some of the concerns that I had that I can recall right off the top of my head.
That'll be a big concern from the outside, Court.
Right. Now, I mean, the window, you're taking the lead off and, you know, and the windows, they could be old windows.
God, I hope that doesn't
There's a lot of
happen.
things.
Well, then I would suggest that they start doing those tests before they agree to having
Right.
this done.
I mean, it can be over.
No, on their part, not our part, on their part. If you want this done, there's a chance of lead paint coming off, affecting the house. If you want to be part of it, have the test done.
That's a good point.
What if it's more after the work was done that the grant paid for? So now if you have a higher lead content inside of your building, what happens then? We did the work.
That's why you have a release and others.
Right.
All right.
You can still put that in
You're
writing.
assuming the risk,
Right, you're assuming that risk. And we go from there.
but it is important to have before and after.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this grant's a very tricky grant because if you don't follow through with this grant, it sends a message for other grants for this particular nature. At the same time, to ask a property owner to buy in on an unknown or to point up on a $70,000 sandblast and then I gotta pony up 30 grand to repoint it, that's an expense that I don't even know if I'm gonna need. So I think repair, I'm hoping that repair would be definitely done along with the sandblasting, and I totally think you should do one building at a time. I don't think you're gonna get through 3 buildings.
Neither do I agree.
That's why
On the other hand, I don't want residents to have to pay for doing a certain amount of work
Yeah.
either.
Yeah,
So-
look, I was against some of the buildings that were chose last time. We had one of the 5th largest credit unions in the world on the list, so a non-for-profit that's a bank or a credit union or a savings loan should not be on that list.
I agree.
Especially ones that are multi-million, so, or billion. So I'm good with it, it's just you gotta be careful. You can't ask a homeowner to come up with 30, 40, 50 grand to repoint their building after you're already in halfway deep, so.
Right.
And you don't want to sandblast the building and then the guy says, look, I don't have the money, and then you have a sandblasted building that's now gonna start to deteriorate.
Well, he's gonna probably say, well, then
Yeah.
you shouldn't have started it.
Correct. So look, but you have to do this grant. We have to do it because the message is not going to be good. So
Then we go one building at a time.
100%. I think you're going to get through a third or a fourth of that list.
All right.
But that's okay, as long as we did it.
Right, as long as you look at the homeowner, I agree, but I also want to look at the other residents who aren't having their houses done.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, we come up with a heck of a bill.
Yeah.
So like I said, there's a lot of weeds to go through on this grant, unlike some of the other ones, okay? All right, the next grant that we put in for, and we're waiting to hear, is what we refer to downstairs as 18 to 11. So 18 to 11 is a water grant that we put in for, we all know that there's very small, old water lines, water distribution lines in Ondior Park and Sally Road. And so we want to upgrade them to 8-inch in those 2 housing areas. So we're waiting to see how successful we are with that grant. That's to come. The chief, is he still here? Chief, you're going to present something to the board about, from a company to help collect the $95,000 in unpaid parking and meter and parking in the wrong way or parking here and parking there when you shouldn't, correct?
Yes, sir, and I apologize. We were hoping to get at least one of the companies here tonight at the workshop to present, so we'll work.
Anytime they can come to any of our meetings, okay? Please?
What was the outstanding number?
95,000.
It's like this couple.
It's metered tickets, it's blocking a driveway, expired inspections.
Outstandings.
How far back in date do they go?
That's why I want him to come and present to us, and
But he has all that information.
they'll tell you how far they can go back, what their process is, how much they'll get out of it. It's important for us to know that.
Carrying a deer after you shot it in your pickup truck without a cover over it?
That's an award.
That's a bad
That's an
one.
award.
That's a bad one.
That's a $50 award.
It's not against the law, is it?
No, it's an award.
They know what I'm talking about. They know well, very well what I'm talking about.
That's another
Just one question on that, Chief, is like, say somebody got a ticket for $50 2 years ago. Is there a fee that gets attached to that?
Well, if it went to the courts, they could, but I don't know about these private companies. I want to hear.
Just curious.
Okay, I'm gonna go down this list. I think I covered everything, but maybe I missed one or two things. So number one, I missed the belt press. We spoke about that. That's one of the items that we put in for with a grant. But unlike a lot of grants, this particular grant allows us to go out and fix it because it is an emergency. And if we do get the grant, we'll be able to pay whatever money we had to borrow for the belt press. The belt press is done having Band-Aids on it. It's way past that, and it's almost an emergency to do, and we know this. Okay, so that's being done. Over the winter, I want us to talk about the, Merv, I want you to be a part of this with the grant, the $140,000, I think it is, for Roe Park. And I know there's some, it's to some degree dictated what's going to be, how that money can be spent, how much towards each different project, but let's zero in on that and work on that over the winter so that come spring, we can give Roe Park a facelift.
Yeah.
Okay? We're also going to have to come up, just like with the Senior Citizen Center for Roe Park, rules and regulations. More and more people are using it. We have folks even coming from out of town, using the pavilion, cooking, et cetera. So I'm not saying don't allow that. That'll be up to the board, but we need to come up with some rules and requirements.
I think it's a great thing. I
So
really do.
please.
I really do. You know?
We're going to go into executive session in not long from now, but to talk about the contracts. We have DPW contracts that are being negotiated.
Police.
We have full-time police, part-time police, dispatchers, the whole 9 yards. These have been very rough negotiations, to say the least. And so we'll talk about that in executive session. There are some items that we need to purchase for the Senior Citizen Center. We know we need a stove.
Yes.
Not a commercial stove, but a household stove.
Why not a commercial stove?
I have two reasons. I hope there was one or two more. It's not needed, if you will, and but more than that, it won't fit.
But you know,
It won't fit in the door.
But you know, I mean, I've seen some commercial stoves that I bet you would fit,
Okay.
and they're not really that bad in price, and they could take a roughing on them, you know?
Yeah, I'm fine if we can
Yeah.
get it in there. We did pick out a stove and it wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
We didn't purchase it, we didn't buy it, but when we started to take measurements,
I recently just seen one at a place I went to with my dad, so
Okay.
I won't bring it, but we'll discuss
Yeah.
that later.
the kitchen needs cabinets, there are no cabinets. We need to open up the wall there for the kitchen so you can serve.
Yeah.
And we want to look at the electric, we know we have to upgrade some wall sockets,
Yes.
so. Those of you that go to senior citizen meetings know all about this. Brian.
Probably next year when I hear it.
Okay.
We don't know about
As
it.
you all know, I refer to the Mearns Avenue money, the Sue Kelly money. That's in Albany, and what I mean by that is in Albany, we have money left from, that Sue Kelly gave us from Oak Avenue and from Berry Hill, and we're asking for that to be permission to take those amounts of money and apply them to the Mearns Avenue money so that we can do much more on Mearns Avenue than the Mearns Avenue money that's been allocated will allow us. So I'm waiting to hear from Albany on that. I want to thank the beautification committee. They were out yesterday decorating. I want to thank the highway department for putting up the snowflakes today.
And taking down the banners.
Pardon?
They took down some of the banners too. They're working on that. They're working
So
on
I
that too.
appreciate all that work being done. And you know, I want to also thank the DPW and the water department. On Saturday, there was a very large main break, South Main Street, and it was a Saturday. The guys were so tired from plowing a day or two before that, and they came in. The ones that we asked, most of them came in. And it's worth noting, one guy, I think it was Saturday was the first day of what you guys do, hunt?
It was opening day,
Opening day, what I call it?
first day. of
Oh, I'm
hunt.
sorry, it's called opening day. And this guy was 5 miles. This guy was 5 miles in the woods,
And he came out.
and he came out to go down there and work very hard to fix a water.
Dedicated employee?
That's what I would
That's
say.
a good guy.
That's what we'll put him under. So I thank the water department and the highway department. You had the football traffic. It wasn't pretty.
Great game though.
Can you get rid of his fine for transporting material?
Guys, be thinking about what streets we want to pave come spring, not come summer, but come spring. I'm really going to be on that about spring. If we wait till summer, then it's going to be September, and then we know what happens after that. So please, there is a list already that's been generated. It's probably, nothing will come off that list, but there might be something you want to add. So. Okay, I believe the last thing, North End Restore New York Water Project. Well, this is done. Okay, the water plant, the wastewater treatment plant, the sewer plant, the fire. I'm not going to go through the whole litany of paperwork here, but we know that we had a fire in August. We know the damage. I believe that the editor of the local paper did a nice story just on the fire, and if I remember right, listed the items that were affected by the fire. I remember, I can see it now that you had done that. Does that sound familiar? So we know the damage to the fire, we know the damage that was done. At one of my meetings, one of our meetings, it was suggested that there was a disconnect between this knowledge and the board. There was no disconnect between anything that went on down at the sewer plant or any other plant or any other item that we take care of. Everyone knows everything that I do, that I have, so there was no disconnect, as was asked at that meeting, or suggested actually, that there was a disconnect. And here's the newspaper article that I just referred to, which listed all the items that were damaged. So, we know that an estimate from our engineer was just shy of $2 million to replace the damaged items. We know that our insurance company, for which there's been so many conversations, conference calls, especially between the village clerk and myself, that even as recent as late last week, that we will be made whole by our insurance company. We know that we had an outside contractor that started the job and how the fire started. His insurance, the day he started, had not been given to us. Our insurance company is looking into that matter. We do have a letter that was generated by our attorney asking the contractor, this is dated the 30th of October, and we, on our behalf, our attorney asked for a copy of his insurance coverage for the day of the fire, which was the 15th of August, 2018, for the work that he was performing at the wastewater treatment plant. To date, we have not received anything.
It was delivered by certified mail and picked up on November 13th.
Okay, so November 13th, last week? Okay, so we hope we'll hear something from this, but I can also tell you that talking to our insurance carrier, talking to our insurance adjuster, talking to insurance engineers, a gambit of people that the village clerk and I talk to weekly, that they obviously are looking into it also. So that's the update on the sewer plant, but if you have anything, I can maybe answer it. Our insurance, as of last week, the conversation was, can we start to clean up? Yes. Can we go out to bid on the items? Yes. There's even a possibility, and please, if you make your notes, this is something that was said, I don't have it in writing, that there's a possibility that some front money will come to us to make going out to bid for engineering, etc. We may get some money advanced to us.
From grant?
From the insurance company.
From the insurance company.
We may. It sounded like we would, but I need to say we may. Am I accurate on that? Okay. So, that's the update on that. Anything?
I think people thought a disconnect because we all went to the meeting about the fire and the damage, right? But we weren't there when the contractor was asked to do the work.
I don't know what what do you mean by that?
I think what Brian's saying is when the initial,
We were there at the initial meeting to talk
Right.
about the sewer plant. But then a contractor was asked to do the work.
And we weren't involved in that decision.
Right.
As
But we
to
knew
the
about the
contractor
fire,
approval.
we knew about the damage it had done.
No, I'm still lost. What do you mean?
I don't think I can say it any clearer than that.
We approved the removal of the RBC unit, correct?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. We approved the damage and how to get it done. The question was, did we know it was going to be the contractor, the name of the contractor? We didn't know until afterwards.
there was no meetings on who's going to be the contractor going down there. Is there going to be bids for the contractor down there? Which company is going to do the work down there? There was no talk with the board on that.
Well, in January...
We only spoke about what
We would have to go back and review the minutes, because I do believe we did speak about it.
But there was
Trying to say...
There was no motion to, say, okay, we're going to hire these guys to do it.
In January of 2018, there's minutes, that 3 quotes were received. The village board said hold off until the belt press went out, because the belt press was not part of the belt press it was not and is not part of the damage. It was something that, I think it was the first item I brought up tonight, that we need to do. So, as I said, in January, quotes were given. They were rejected, new quotes were received. These are notes, these are just handwritten notes. I was trying to make a chronological order of the events. Yeah, what you said, it's,
The other issue,
I'm not sure that's what the comment was made for, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
The comments are made, I don't care.
the other issue, which I forgot because I left my other set of notes at home, I got asked by the food truck, just so we know for next meeting, they talked to the gentleman who's selling hot dogs. The weather's going to be bad. He might not have, come out a lot with that. They offered, you can sell hot dogs out of our truck. But I said, I don't know if the regulations on that.
Well, hey, I thought maybe you were going to say this, and maybe a little bit you are. I know that the current vendor, thank you, said, look, I'll sublease my spot. We're not going to start that.
Right, no.
We're not
I
going to start
understand that, right. But he was offered, you could use our wagon to sell hot dogs so you don't lose anything. That's all. Just want to let you know. I was supposed to say that, but I put it in my other notes. It wasn't a sublease at all.
But just to say something, I'm glad I'm hearing about with the sewage plant, what's going to be happening now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good news.
I mean, if we sat downstairs and I took, this is the folder right here, and I went page, there'd be other things I could tell you. I'm not keeping anything, but what I brought up tonight was the gist of it, if you will,
Right.
the meat and potato of it. Just give me a second. Yeah, let's see, January, the village board held off till Bell Press went out and put all together. New quotes were received, and these are quotes to take, to dismantle the RBC that caught on fire. TAM, 12,000, another local contractor, 7,000, and the low contractor, who we've had before, and has always provided insurance to us, of course, 9,600.
No, he was the middle one, but the low one that was 7 backed out. You just said we got 3.
Yeah, this guy backed out.
Right, so then the
Because of
lowest,
this.
then the
Right.
lowest one was 96.
So Tony backed out, right?
Yeah, he was the low bidder. We ended up going with the second lowest bidder. So, yeah, you're right. So, that's, and somehow, I can't explain it, I'm not gonna, the buck stops here. I've said that downstairs many times. The buck stops right here. So I don't take myself out of anything, nothing. The buck stops right here. If I'm proud of something, I'm gonna tell you I'm proud of something. If something got messed up, whether it was my fault or not, the buck stops here. And so by us getting these quotes and everything, I think that someone, not me, but that's why I say the buck doesn't matter if it was me or not, said, okay, you're the low bidder, when can you start? And maybe that wasn't correctly, maybe that should not have been correct. Maybe that shouldn't have been said that way.
I will say that after all of this has transpired, I don't know if it was Gina or who put together a very, very concise, very clear guideline for all of our departments to follow on anything where expenditures are concerned. And I think that document alone will be very helpful in the future.
I hope you don't want to take it back. It was me who did that.
Oh.
That's the truth.
Well-
So that document, we learn lessons. We learn lessons when we do things right. We learn lessons when we do things wrong. I hope. I think we do. So that policy came up, that form, and now nothing will start until my boss signs off. And she sees all the other signatures. There's a lot of people have to sign off before the job can start. And we'll use that everywhere now. That's a pretty good document. And we can tweak it as we see the need. But I thank you for those comments. Okay, Merv? You
I'm good.
okay?
I'm good with it.
All right.
And like I said, before, I'm glad to hear what I'm hearing about the insurance company. Because I know
Yeah.
that's a concern of thought of,
No, the insurance, actually, I am pleasantly surprised how cooperative they're being,
Right.
how forthcoming they're being, and how they want to help. How they want to help.
that's good. That's a good thing.
Get this all back in one piece, so, okay. I see bills and claims here for fiscal year 2018-2019 of $66,803.80. I know the bills were reviewed downstairs by the board.
Motion to pay all bills.
Second.
Murph got it.
Brian, all in favor?
Brian.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Before we go into executive session, if there's a couple quick comments from anyone in the audience, now would be the time.
Army won.
Army won, I am so happy.
They beat undefeated Colgate,
And now we're in the ratings,
22.
23 or
22.
23.
I seen 22 today.
That might be the code. 23 to 18.
Yes.
Yeah, I wanted to approach the board on, I have received a response on an email from you,
For me.
Mayor, saying that right-of-way use have decided to held an executive session afterward and went back and it should have been decided years ago. It was decided years ago. It was decided, and I sent a copy to Mr. Lindsay and Ms. Murphy and Mr. Edward, where in November 6th, 2015, November 16th, it was approved, and Trustee Edward and Murphy had also unanimously was on the board at that point in time.
Mr. Z, I think you misread the minutes. The item that you highlighted for the unanimous approval was for the November 3rd minutes. We never voted on that, and I know I did not vote for it.
Oh, is
It
that right?
was not voted.
Because it says it right under there that, let's see where.
But read it, it's the November minutes. Trustee Mellon made the motion, and it's indented, so maybe that's what led you to believe that it was related
Right,
to the
because
item
it was
above.
directly after what it was said. Yeah, so here, still in Doe all these years, I was led to believe with the prior mayor and administration at that point in time that it was going to be followed through. Now, I had sent you all this information where the building would have been taken. It can't be lack of taxes for the fact that I paid over $23,000 in back taxes and whatnot when I bought the place. And since then, I was paid over $30,000 in just a community on this particular building that would have been taken off the taxes under the circumstances of all the pictures that you would have seen. It would have never lasted throughout that year. It would have been taken off the tax roll. Now, in prior emails, it's already been noted that the existing assessment by the village before it was consolidated with the town, that there was a driveway there. Now, prior to my buying the building, there was a road that went up to that driveway. So the pre-existing road was there. But right now, it's just been a dumping area through all these years. And right now, there's a manhole there that's about 8-10 inches underneath the dirt that's there. That God knows who put it there. And you discontinued the pavement to that driveway, which is already established as a driveway, and no one complained because in the last 40 years, the prior owner did not drive. In the 40 years before that, that owner did not drive, so they never said anything. But it's a pre-existing road. Now, I was led to believe that in working with the board and proving that there was a road through the assessments, the existing dwelling would have been taken off the tax roll. So I always thought, and I thought, Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you had said that we were going to pave it so as that I can access my driveway.
What I said was that, and I still do, thought that my highway superintendent had a good suggestion. He said to blacktop where you put all the fill, where this manhole cover is, down to a certain spot. I don't know, I can't give you the length, but down to a certain spot, which would facilitate someone using that driveway. I thought that that was good. I said, now, the only thing we have to do, John, is let's run this by the engineer. So we met with the engineer within a week up there, and immediately he said no. He said the way to go, first of all, just blacktopping that part of the road where the fill is. You have retaining walls that belong to folks across the street. He said that is going to be an issue. A couple other things he said, I'm not sure if I can remember, but that's when the suggestion came up and was that you give us a license, you call it a license?
Well, I think the suggestion was perhaps he would like to just take it, that the village would give that to him, but then he would have to do all of that work.
Well, I'm not sure if it was give him that piece of property, because we own the rest of it and before too,
Well, just,
but a license to allow you to do the work. And you rejected that, which you have the right to do. You rejected that.
That was to buy the property, that's what it was.
Well, that's what the attorney is saying.
For a dollar.
That's some portion,
I don't remember that.
whatever portion would be needed, I'm not sure. But that was the second idea, and I guess the property owner was not amenable to that.
But in my head, I'm thinking in terms of selling that to the property owner for $1, so it's...
I mean, the village can set any price they want, so long as they can abandon the paper road, which you can certainly do. If it doesn't go anywhere, if it doesn't need to get from A to B, you would just have to go through that process.
Well, it doesn't necessarily go from A to B now. At one time it did. One time it went from Sweezy to Liberty.
If at some point in the future, the village would ever need that, then you wouldn't be able to just abandon it. You'd have to go through a procedure to abandon that. It's municipal property, so you could sell it for $1, but you would have to justify that, because typically you cannot sell municipal property for less than its value.
I think that we should only be careful. I'm only going to say this and then I'm going to let you continue, because I think a decision has been made. But so we all know there are other paper roads in the village. And so by selling something for $1, this particular paper road, I'm not so sure I want to sell this particular paper road for $1. So we need to be careful when we're selling anything. Of course, you all know that. But go ahead, sir.
Yeah, but that would be at your discretion, which and what property you would do so. I believe there's one that
You do it for
that
one.
was given to a write-off of what's his name?
There's a paper road on Hillside Avenue. There's a paper road on either, I don't know how it is exactly on the map, because it's right at the intersection
McElroy
of Drew and Kleitz and Drew, there's a paper road. Okay, so there are paper roads.
Yeah, there was Mr. McElroy on going up.
There's a paper road there.
And he was...
From Cousins up to High Street.
And he had acquired that, from what I understand.
Not in my time, no. There were issues there. There were a lot of issues there between the neighbors. That does not belong to a resident.
So maybe if I could get access to use that part of it as a driveway, or making some path to my driveway without having to go to DOT or anything like that, yeah, that would work with me.
What do you mean, if you bought it?
Well, I don't know, we're talking two different things. It was
that's
talk
all, I don't
about
know what you
buying
mean.
it, or me being able to utilize it to get to my driveway.
Sir, we go around in circles here. If I'm correct, if we say to you, go ahead, do what you need to do to get in that driveway, do whatever you need to do on on village property
Yes.
to get in your driveway, that can't be, you have to do it according to village engineer needs. You can't just, I'm sorry.
So how can it be abandoned, an existing road that went to the driveway, and then all of a sudden say, well, we're not going to continue paving it up to your driveway anymore?
I'm not sure I have an answer. I don't.
I mean, there's a manhole there. I didn't put that dirt over that manhole. Now, at the bottom of that, a lot of that dirt was there that I pushed down the road. That was pre-existing. And if you look on the right, you'll see there's a big mound still there. I didn't put all that there. I worked at trying to straighten that road out so as that it made it easier for the municipality.
Someone put enough fill in there that this paper road is now at the height of the curb of the sidewalk.
Right.
That's quite a bit of fill in there.
Well, if you look there, there's a huge boulder that's like this that was by Central Hudson. When they went in there and they did their sewer line, they had to change that. They moved this boulder you can see it at the end there. It's there. I didn't put it there. I mean, there's no way I could physically put it there.
Right.
It's a huge boulder. So that was just, the rest of the stuff was collected and pushed down to that boulder. But that was pre-existing. I put some of the rock from my driveway on there, but I mean, all that that's leading down there, like over that manhole, I did not put that there.
Okay.
You know? So nonetheless, it is a pre-existing road that was paved to my driveway, and it was never maintained. The new pavement went up to where it ends now, and it didn't continue down to the driveway. I mean, it was already designed, laid out. I mean, if you go down to Pew, I mean, it's a lot steeper than this hill.
Mr. Mayor, there's no way to know when that road was there, how long it was maintained. It's not, I don't believe that this gentleman purchased that and was able to use that driveway when he purchased the house. Therefore, obviously, it wasn't there when he bought his property. The village is not required to provide access to everyone's property at the spot they want it. So I would say it's not really relevant that road may have existed at some point in the past. The village is not required to maintain it.
Well, the road obviously existed because you look at the manhole and there's pavement around the manhole. There's just dirt thrown on top of it. Yeah,
Look,
when I bought the house and I asked you to come up prior to my purchasing and putting all this money into this house and discuss, and you said, I said, would you work with me on trying to do this, with this house, which took, you can see the amount of money and the time and the effort and all. And I've invested, I have other properties here. I spend over $20,000 a year in taxes. So I am a taxpayer. I do maintain all the properties, have a good reputation. And so
that's all true.
Yeah, so I wish to get to my driveway, and from what I understand, with the grant that was recently given, that you were going to pay that, what you had said, that he was going to pave the existing road down to my driveway. Now,
No, wait a minute. First of all, everything is true that you said about yourself. I know what properties you buy, I know how you fix them up, and I can only imagine the taxes. I never said that there was grant money to pave that road, because there isn't.
no,
No, you said.
I didn't say that. No.
Okay, I didn't say that, right?
No, I had the impression with this grant money, this road, as you said, that John was going to go ahead and do this.
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, well, with whatever money.
Well, I'm just
my
saying.
tax money, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay, but I just want to be
There's
accurate
more
on
than enough there to be able to do that road. But, I don't know, because an engineer has an opinion that, an existing road now isn't okay, that was not as steep as Depew Avenue, is all of a sudden, I don't see why we're hanging our hat on this,
Hanging,
I mean, do I have to bring in a different engineer to say that there's no problem with continuing this road to my driveway?
well, no, because we have you can do that, but we have a village engineer that we pay to represent us.
Yeah, and he gets paid, that's what I'm saying. So what do you think he's gonna say? I gave you drawings and everything, he's gonna just sign off on everything that I've done, or any information that I had to help along this process of getting to my driveway with what's there? I mean, irregardless, it was a pre-existing road, and now I don't understand why you wouldn't just pave it to repave the existing road.
I don't know, and we're gonna get into the weeds, and I don't want to do that, and I don't know if there's a time frame on a paved road becoming a paper road. I can tell you this, it means nothing. It's only history. History sometimes means a lot, and sometimes it doesn't mean that much. At my age, I can go back 65 years. And that road, that paper road was grass. So I don't know when it was a real
The
road.
next door neighbors talk about going to school walking down that road.
Well, I remember walking to school and it was grass. It was a shortcut, but it was grass. Immaterial.
All right, irregardless, there is pavement under there, and it was a road at one time. Well, I thought you seen it. You didn't see the manhole with...
I saw the manhole, but I didn't see the road around it because there's dirt there.
Yeah, well, John has
Yeah, I didn't
described
see
it to
that.
me that
But I believe that. You said I believe you.
I don't know, my integrity isn't worth lying there, so I got it.
And mine either, and I agree with you. So,
What's our next step then? The engineer?
The board has made a decision, unless they want to change their mind.
Why don't we just table this until the next meeting?
Sure.
Okay, just table it till the next
Sure.
meeting. I'm not ready to make a decision on this. Okay. If you all want to, you can, that's fine. But
Sure.
I'm not quite ready yet.
fine. That's appropriate.
And we'll, December 3rd,
Can we
correct?
get clarification on what it would take to transfer for $1?
I would like some more information, correct?
Part of the road.
That's a great, yeah.
Or if that's possible.
It's village property, so you can do what you want with it, but it is a procedure. First, you have to abandon the road, and I'd have to go back, it's been a while since I looked at those statutes. There's a procedure. Then you would have to determine if you're ever gonna need it, because if you're ever gonna need it, you can't let it go for any money. And 3, if you decide that you want to sell that property or a portion of it, you have to have fair consideration for that. So now you have to get appraisals. What is it worth?
I thought we were gonna put a railing at the end. What do you call it?
Guardrail. We
Guardrail
are.
at the end.
We have to do
Guide,
that.
right.
What'd you call it?
Guide rail.
Guardrail, yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Is that fine? Is that okay?
To his side, to this gentleman here, we've been talking about this at every other meeting. And we had made a decision, you're right, and that's fine, we can make another decision, it's not unheard of. But let's bring it to a head and be done with this, one way or another.
Exactly.
It's not fair to him, and actually it's not fair to us.
Well, I'd like to bring up the
Okay,
point
because
that it's going to be, I'm not going to be able to keep it's going to be an easement because of the utilities that are all
All
on
right,
it.
so now it's going to change now already.
It's going to be an easement.
You want an
that I
easement?
can't build. No, it has to be an easement because you have utilities underneath. I have no
Okay.
choice.
Okay.
I'm usually going to have it as an easement.
Okay.
So I can't build a garage on it. It's not going to be really worth a lot to me, except to get to my driveway or use it as a driveway.
All right, this will come up at the next meeting again. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks.
I would like to have a motion to go into executive session on personnel.
I make a
Can I
motion.
talk real quick, please?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I don't know if everybody remembers me. My name is Rebecca Stewart. I'm the owner of Rapids Tow Truck that you guys were discussing earlier. I want to say thank you for having us on your next meeting. I just would like to, I think people know this, but this is my livelihood. I have 4 children I'm taking care of. I want to work and live in the town or the village of where I was born and raised. And I have a really good product that is needed around here. So I don't know the difference between here and where we just were, but where we just were, you went in and you got a permit and you began. And here, it's holding off, and it's gonna negatively impact my family. So if we could, I don't know what I can do to help, if you guys want me to make a bigger packet that shows you more stuff saying how great everything is. I have a stack of letters at the house that residents from here have written, who have eaten my food, who see the food truck as a positive thing for our community. I just need something and some progress to be made, and I can't keep holding off my family and my finances
And
and
that's-
my future.
And that's why it's on the next agenda.
Okay, I appreciate it.
No problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. The last thing, are we still on? So what I want to say to those at home, on behalf of the board,
Camera's not on still.
it is on.
Is it?
Happy Thanksgiving. Now, those are just 2 words, but they're meant by this board. We have a lot to be thankful for. We talk about all the good stuff that happens in this village all the time. All the time. This is a positive board. They work hard all year. This was just bringing them up to date on things that they all projects that they knew about. They know about all these projects. They've been involved in these projects. This was just an update. That's how hard they all work. So I'm thankful for the board, our attorney, those that support us, those that have opinions. Whether they're our opinions or my opinions, doesn't matter. Happy Thanksgiving and enjoy Thursday. Just enjoy. Thank you very much.